Cheryl? Okay. Before we start, does anyone have any announcements that weren't included in the announcements that were sent out on Friday? Good to go? Okay. As you are, you're welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you're welcome here. With little children or your partner or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You're welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a spark of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest, you're welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge we're in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked here before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. Now for the chalice lighting. We say this all together. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Now our hymn is in the blue hymn book, and it's 123, Spirit of Life. Thank you. Now we're doing joys and concerns differently this year. There's that beautiful blue bowl that you saw when you came in, and this has worked well for Bozeman, so we thought we'd try it too. And we've got 3 things here. From Katrin Ann, we have red peppers and garlic, lemon, outdoor physical activity helped her cold dissipate in less than 24 hours. Yay! Colds seem worse now that I've forgotten how to do them. Oops, on my hair, okay. Hey, this is a joy. Last night's supermoon brought me joy and wonder. If you haven't seen it, it'll be out again tonight. And then a concern is concern for the state of our nation. And I'm sure we're all feeling that too. Thank you for sharing, people. Okay, my topic today is on epiphanies, and in this little child's story, which has very few words, the grandpa has an epiphany about how we can connect with his grandchild. So here it is. It's called Drawing Together.
Drawn Together, written by Min Lee, illustrated by Caldecott medalist Dan Santat, published by Scholastic Incorporated. So, what's new, Grandpa? Can we watch something else? Right when I gave up on talking, my grandfather surprised me by revealing a world beyond words. And in a flash, we see each other for the first time. All the things we could never say come pouring out. And we build a new world that even words can't describe. But just when we're closer than ever, that old distance comes roaring back. This time, I'm not afraid, because I know that together, we can make our way across. Now, after years of searching for the right words, we find ourselves happily speechless.
Thank you, and I can kind of guess what Brianna has for the kids today. Do you think it has something to do with drawing? So we're going to sing our children out. Okay?
I have a friend up here who doesn't know it's winter. I think it's a stink bug, but I'm not sure.
As you journey, may you know, peace and love go with you, peace and love go with you, turn and go. Thank you for your gifts this day and for all the gifts of action that make this community possible. If you're visiting, please remain our guest. Your presence is your gift to us.
Responsive reading 531, the Oversoul. Let us learn the revelation of all nature and thought, that the highest dwells within us, that the sources of nature are in our own minds. I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a high origin for events than the will I call mine.
There is deep power in which we exist and whose beatitude is accessible to us.
Every moment when the individual feels invaded by its memorable.
It comes to the lowly and simple. It comes to whosoever will put off what is foreign and proud. It comes as insight. It comes as serenity and grandeur.
The soul's health consists in the fullness of its reception.
Forever and ever, the influx of this better and more universal self is new and unsearchable.
Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one.
When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. When it throws through our affection, it is love.
Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Thank you, Katrin. Please turn to 291 in your hymn book, and I'll give you a little background on this. When I was looking for dances that were in our hymn book for the Dance of the Universal Peace, I saw this, and I got really excited because this is an old protest song. And I thought not too many churches or fellowships would have this kind of song in their hymnal. It became, it's been a folk hymn from Germany around for centuries, but in 1842 it kind of became what you see now, or what we're going to be singing now. And of course, in 1848 there was a revolution in Germany, and this song was immediately banned. And it's been sung in various places by various people as a protest song for a long time. And when the Nazis were in power, people sung this song in Germany as a form of protest. Die Gedanken sind frei. My thoughts are free. Page 291.
So die Gedanken sind frei. That's the best German I have.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Play the whole thing.
Okay, my talk today will have a dead dog and a disappointed child, so it's going to be tons of fun. Okay. This Tuesday, January 6th, in most Christian churches is known as Epiphany, or the 12th day of Christmas, the day the Magi brought gifts to the infant Jesus. The Magi had seen the light in the east and followed it to honor the infant who, here's the Epiphany, came for all people, Gentiles and Jews. Other Christian epiphanies include when the disciples were walking to Emmaus and eventually realized that the stranger among them was Christ himself, or when Paul on the road to Damascus met an angel and totally turned his life around. An epiphany doesn't have to come from an angel or a burning bush. Rather, it is a moment of realization, a new awareness, a time of aha, when something observed is understood. Excuse me. Famous epiphanies in history include, I'm having a moment here when I'm not even sure how to say Archimedes, who in his bathtub became aware of how to measure the density of an object. Of Newton, when he saw the apple fall from the tree and developed an idea of gravity. And of course, Einstein, when a storm broke inside his mind and he rode to an understanding of the theory of relativity. Most of us, though, have much simpler epiphanies that matter only to us. My first epiphany came right on time, according to the educator Piaget, who posited that children around the ages of 10 or 11 are able to understand abstract concepts. I was raised in a family-run veterinary clinic where all 9 of us had to participate. Starting in 5th grade, I was the kennel girl in charge of cleaning dirty dog and cat cages and feeding all the animals. Besides that, I also had to incinerate, that is, cremate, the animals that died there or were brought in. Now, this all seemed pretty ordinary to a veterinarian's daughter and butcher's granddaughter, until one day I was stopped in my tracks. On the cold concrete floor was a dead dachshund waiting for me to cremate him. I stopped and stared because it came to me that not only was the wiener dog dead, he wasn't ever going to come back to life, especially after I sent most of him up the chimney in smoke. At the time, I was studying my Lutheran catechism, in which we talked about the resurrection of the body and the life everlasting. Woo, I thought, at least not for this dead dog. Then I shoveled him into the incinerator. From that point forward, I had no faith in the resurrection of the body and developed my own idea of where our spirits and those of animals went. I believe our bodies are recycled and have a belief that something unknowable happens to our spirits. This little 5th grade epiphany was the first time I remember having an idea on my own that wasn't taught by my parents or school or church. Of course, I never did share it. It was outside of what I was taught to believe, but it really changed how I looked at death from then on. These aha moments can take many forms. Once I asked a friend who nearly died in an accident in the mountains if he had learned anything from the horrifying experience. He remembered hardly anything about the event, but had his epiphany afterwards in the hospital. He said, quote, "I thought I wasn't particularly likable. When I was recovering, I discovered I was liked by so many friends that I didn't know really liked me," unquote. I found it poignant that he had to be nearly 60 and close to death before feeling loved by his friends. There are many stories of epiphanies in literature and on the internet. Most have to do with either finding new purpose in life or discovering God's love. Epiphanies that lead one to rob a bank or join a drug cartel don't make it on the honor roll. I'll share 3 of the positive epiphanies that I found with you. These come from a book that's called, guess what? Epiphanies. And this book all has the positive ones. The first is from an educator named Florence Horn. I was a very young girl, about 10. As part of a school dramatic performance, I was to play the role of a tiny, dwarfed hunchback in the employ of a king. Now this really upset me. I wanted to be the princess. Why wasn't I the princess? Why was I picked to do the dwarf hunchback role? It made me feel that I was deformed, deficient, and worthless. But as the play unfolded, the king had many enemies, and when they stormed the king's palace, it was I, the little hunchback, who protected the king. I took an arrow that killed me, but I saved the king. When the play was over, I saw that my character, the hunchback, had displayed more nobility of character than the princess, and that made a big impression on me. We're shaped a lot by a lot of things, but this experience was really fundamental to me. It gave me a point of view for evaluating life. It was a way of making a statement. I realized I could look below the surface and not be hung up on appearances, that it was important to always look deeper. Seeing that the hunchback's inner beauty far outshone the princess's appearance taught me that unexpected people or situations or occurrences can quietly take on a role with real impact and power. I understood what we're inclined to push aside as meaningless or trivial may be the very clue to a deeper, more thoughtful understanding. Many times, tremendous value lies in what we push aside as worthless. Actor G.W. Bailey found new purpose in life. His goddaughter at age 12 had cancer, and she coerced him into coming into her cancer camp. He really did not want to go, but here's what happened when he went to cancer camp. Brady had given me their activity schedule, so I knew they'd be at the volunteer fire department when I arrived. They were having a battle with water hoses, and the kids were all dressed up in fireman outfits and hats and all that stuff. When I got to the fire station, you could hear all the commotion of the kids playing outside in the back. So I walked toward the noise of the children, went out the back door, and rounded a corner. What I saw forever changed my life. I had seen one child with cancer. I had seen a couple of children with cancer, but I had never seen 30 children with cancer all together in the same place. And they were all laughing, all having this exuberant celebration of their lives. I had this overwhelming emotional response I still can't describe properly. It was all these kids, all ages, all sizes, and it was just like, what is this? No one had seen me yet, so I turned around and I went back outside to my rental car, and I sat in it for 10 or 15 minutes, and I cried. I cried for her. I cried for all of them. I ended up staying the entire week in Breckenridge, and then flew straight to Houston to meet with Rhoda, the founder of Sunshine Kids. I knew I had to be involved and be a part of this organization that helped these kids to celebrate their lives in spite of their illness. That was 25 years ago. I started as a volunteer at events, filling coolers, blowing up balloons, and also helped put events together and raised money. Eventually, I became the executive director of the Sunshine Kids Foundation, which I still am today. So that was an epiphany that gave him purpose. That's changed him from an actor into a foundation guy. Now, the last one I'm going to read is by Maya Angelou. You probably know her from When the Caged Bird Sings, from her books and her poetry. And her epiphany story is one of fury and rage. There's a lot of anger in this story, but it changed her life. A few years later, when I was maybe 22 or so, I was studying voice, and the voice teacher lived in my house and rented from me. He taught a number of accomplished actresses and singers, and they all studied in my home. So I knew them slightly, but they were all white, and as you know, Maya is black. They were all white, and they were accomplished, and many of them were 40 years old and had been written about in the San Francisco newspaper. Wow, where I lived at the time. Once a month, the voice teacher asked us to come together and read from a book called Lessons in Truth. We all would read a page and half a page, or whatever, and at one point I was reading and I read the line, "God loves me." And he stopped and he said, "Oh, read it again." So I said it again, "God loves me." He said, "Again." Suddenly I became embarrassed. I was young and black, and everyone else was white and accomplished. And I felt he was really embarrassing me, putting me on the spot. So I read it with ferocity, forcefully. "God loves me." At that moment, I knew it. I really knew it. I thought, God? That which made bees and mountains and water? That loves me? Maya Angelou? Well, then in that case, there's nothing I can't do. I can do anything good. Even now, telling you this some 50 years later, it still brings goosebumps to me. I could weep with joy at the knowledge I am loved by love itself. Epiphanies come in all different ways. And by the way, after we have our moment of silence, if you'd like to share an epiphany, we'll pass the mic around. Once when I was reading about the Eastern religion, the Tao, also called the Way, I was struck by a saying about how answers are all around us, but we have to open our eyes and see them. I know that I, by not paying attention, miss many of the answers I'm looking for. I am now trying to pay better attention to what is around me. So I'm going to illustrate this by sharing my most recent little epiphany. In October in McCarthy, Alaska, I had some friends over for supper. I brought out clay for their 2 children to play with while we adults chatted and drank. The little boy started screaming because his bigger sister had made a clay horse with 4 sturdy legs, whereas his creature kept falling over. It wouldn't stand up. Now he's screaming, and I've had kids, so my first instinct is to help somebody feel better. I wanted to fix the situation and help the boy by asking his sister to make him a horse, or by making him one myself, or doing anything to help his distress. It was driving me crazy. His mother saw I was concerned, and she said, "Let it go. He needs to learn to handle disappointment." He needs to learn to handle disappointment? Aha! The light went on inside my head. What a concept. I stood back and I thought about what she said. He needs to learn to handle disappointment. I've been thinking about this little epiphany ever since. One little aha moment has raised 100 questions in my mind. For example, where is it appropriate to try to fix things for someone else? When should I be consoling, and when should I let them work it out on their own? That's the mother's idea. She wanted him to work it out on his own. How do others around me handle their disappointments? What works best for me when I'm disappointed? I don't have answers to these questions, but they've taught me to think a moment before rushing to the rescue. I think we're surrounded by opportunities to have new awareness jump out in front of us, change us, take us a few steps further on our learning paths. We just need to be quiet, take a look, be prepared to learn, and think about what we see. Now we'll have a moment of silent meditation. Does anyone have any reflections or epiphanies they'd like to share?
As always. It seems like it's not quite working. I wanted to come up with one that was personal, that came from the oversoul, but the ones that occurred to me were ones where an older person guided me in a wise way. And so I was thinking about being 8 or 9 years old, and every night before I went to sleep, I would recite the Lord's Prayer, which I'd learned in church. So, Our Father, who art in heaven, blah, blah, blah. And my sister Trish, who is very much a person of words, was 12, and she came into my room and said, I want you to think about what this means. I want to go through every line with you and explain to me what it means. And, you know, her doing that changed my feeling about how I read. And later, when I was in high school, I used a popular slang word, queer, and she looked at me, maybe I was in junior high and she was in high school, and she looked at me and said, you know, words have power. What does that word mean to you? So my sister Trish gave me some epiphanic advice when I was a kid, and I appreciated it.
I just heard this on NPR the other day. It was a folk singer introducing one of her songs, and she said, the opposite of, I think one of the songs was The Pagan and the Christian, about a table of people at Thanksgiving, and her statement was, the opposite of division is not unity. The opposite of division is collaboration.
quick one to start with is Tao, which is spelled T-A-O, which most of us pronounce as Teo. And those of you who know my dog's name is Teote. So when I call for Teo, I always remember the way and to try to remind myself to explore what the way really means, because I don't know. So anyway, it's sort of an interesting thing we do with language. The other one I'm having, and I'm exploring it right now because I'm in the middle of it. You folks might remember the book, The Little Book of Joy. That was one of the stories of all ages that we had earlier in the year. And I liked that book so well, I purchased it as a gift actually to many people, because I thought, we're certainly going to need this book this year. And so I had it all prepared to go to people. And that time never quite came. I do believe that time will come, but it's not come yet. And then later on, we had a book, Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Another interesting connection. And so I thought, this is an incredible book. So I bought that book. So that was a Christmas gift I gave to many people. I put those two books together and gave them. And people were really, it was like, oh, this is going to sit on my coffee table. Because they're that kind of a book. They're a child's book, but the illustrations are incredible and the message is incredible. And here comes the part that is challenging me a bit. I needed another set of those books, so I went out online and ordered them. They came. I opened up the package, and inside that package was a book I had not looked at, I had not ordered, I had not paid for. The book is Endurance. Endurance. Now, most of you know me as an activist and a person who's very, very concerned about our democracy. And I know the story of endurance, but to have received that book unsolicited at Christmas time as another packaged gift, I'm sharing that with you because I don't really know quite what to do with it. And I will add to that, there was 2 days prior to that point in time, and it started out with the membership party, holiday party that Indivisible Helena had, and I was doing the greetership thing, and a person had approached me and introduced herself as somebody who I had worked with out at Boulder River School and Hospital in the early 70s. And for the next 2 days, in a chronological order, people approached me that I had had some either work or personal connection with. Had about 8 of them. And it ended with Cass. And it hasn't continued. So I'm sitting here with this situation of people, which I don't quite understand, other than the fact I know there's some meaning to it. And these 2 wonderful books that I was introduced to by this fellowship, and now the book Endurance. So it'll probably be an epiphany at some point, I don't know.
Okay, last chance. I suspect you've all had some kind of epiphanies at some time or the other. Our closing hymn is Come Sing a Song With Me, which is one of my very, very favorites. It's 346. Now, all together, we say this as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we're together again. Now we're going to gather together for our circle, and then our recording will end after that. Dona nobis pacem. Give to us peace.